Shout out to ProBox TV.
How many minutes?
Even though I don't work ProBox TV anymore, I still support them, and I love what they're still dishing out to you guys. I think it's fantastic for boxing, ProBox TV, and they've had some really knockout, some big fights going on the network. Most recently, Angelo Leo retained his title, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Why don't you take us through it?
So I get home from the mountains. We were up in the mountains camping. Never been camping before, but anyways, so
How you pull that off?
Huh? My wife has friends of
Okay.
my son goes to school, and so they organize all the kids to go together. I went anyway.
Okay.
I couldn't watch the fight because of that. So I get home. Right. I'm mad. No.
And
so
how do you feel when you Google yourself and I come up?
That's happens.
Okay.
I'm attached to that.
You know. And then one day they'll Google you and Antt will come up.
Yeah.
You better not
can't
come
wait.
up. Better not see a goddamn. I better not see a face.
When you Google your kids, I'm gonna come up.
Slow down.
Uncle Ed.
Slow down.
Look, Uncle Ed.
Go ahead, Zittel. Go ahead.
So I get back Saturday morning and I see that Leo has retained the title by majority decision. And I think, I'm like, oh, he must have looked flat. He must have looked not what he looked like against Venado Lopez, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the kind of performance he had against Venado. Fighters can only summon but so many times. You got a couple of peaks in you in your career. If you're a top champion, you have a consistent prime. But, you know, those nights like Venado, you're not going to quite be able to summon that every single night. Like,
it's a consistent prime, but even for the elite, it's a consistent prime with peaks of greatness, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And usually it's that prime, and then once you start to see a decline, you don't see it come back up, usually. You know, it just, and usually, and for the elite, it's usually a very slow decline, you know what I mean? So that's interesting. People think that you peak and you're just there and you happen to be there. No, some fighters have peak performances.
Right.
You know, you're not the best, but you have a peak performance, you know? Josh Taylor, we're going to be talking about him in a little bit. I think that's a prime example of peak performances, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, they all come in different, fighters' primes could come in different shapes and forms and lengths and all that. Like Josh, I think, had his peak performances kind of come like back to back to back to back, and then that was it, you know? But with Leo, I watched the fight. I think if this fight was in, and it is nothing. I'm not knocking Japan. Anywhere you fight,
Japan's tough. It seems like it's tough to win there, but go ahead.
I think it's tough to win on the road anywhere. You know, I think if you're a foreign fighter fighting in the United States, it's a little harder to win here than it. And if you're a fighter from the United States fighting overseas, it's gonna be a little harder for you to win there. The game is the game pretty much everywhere when it comes to that.
Wasn't hard for Kell Brook to win over here.
That's true, but you know.
You bring up this
Yeah.
Was that PTSD?
Sean's just like, well, if that's the case, where was my gift?
Yeah, I feel you, Sean.
God damn it. Hey,
That night you needed
I thought
one.
we get gifts.
When the fight ended,
you needed one.
when the fight ended, in my mind, I was defeated. I felt like I lost, but I was like, I'm gonna get one because I'm here.
Yeah, and I'm Shawn Porter.
Nope, it wasn't because I'm Shawn Porter. I just thought like I'm gonna get past this one, and then I'll be all right.
regroup.
Yeah.
This is
I
gonna
was
be that
get
fight
one.
I had where they said I lost, but I got the win anyways. I get to move on, and But so Kameda, anyways, was very competitive throughout, but it was a little bit generous that he got a majority decision. Leo's jab was superb. He Leo, like against Espinoza might be a little too big. Inoue it's all about Leo's firepower because he has great skills, actually.
Yes.
He's an excellent boxer.
Yes, sir. I agree.
Beautiful jab, beautiful balance, can throw every punch in the book, tough, got good IQ. And even though he knocked out Venado, that was after hitting Venado with like 100 shots. So he's not a concussive, heavy-handed puncher. But so against Inoue and Espinoza, he'll be an underdog against those guys. But this dude, Angelo Leo, he's in terms of skills and heart, he's got it. He's a really good fighter. I would love to see him fight any of the big names. He has a chance to beat even Stephen Fulton, who clearly beat him at 122. I wouldn't count him out of a rematch. I don't count him out against Espinoza. I don't count him out against Inoue. He's a really good fighter. And this was an underrated performance. Kameda was strong as hell. He was stronger in the pocket. He out-Mexicaned him a little bit sometimes in close. But Leo can box, so he didn't have to stay there all night.
You said that? I worked him. I worked him.
I like that Mexican.
My bad. But he boxed a really good fight. I thought it was kind of a.
You felt there should have been a unanimous decision, not majority.
Yep.
It's all the same to me. So I was like, all right, majority. All right, cool.
Right.
I like Angelo. I think he's in a position now where it should be big fight. Obviously, he's working with Pro Box TV, so they don't mind working with other promoters or anything like that. But we'll see. I think that any of the top names, and to your point, I would love to see a rematch with Stephen Fulton.
Yeah,
I think that would be a great rematch for Leo. Obviously, we would expect him to win that fight now at this point. More of a fight that could help elevate him even more. And then the other side of that, of course, Stephen Fulton, you got to put respect on the man's name.
He would still be a favorite heading into a rematch. Yeah. Because how much he won the first fight decisively. You know?
And then, the big fight that he just had against
Figueroa.
Against Figueroa. So, man, that's a big fight.
Yeah.
It's a big fight.
I think, though, the fight might be Espinoza because Espinoza's top rank. And that might be the fight where it's like, if you could beat this guy, there's no denying you the Inoue fight. Because that's the sweepstakes for all these 126-pounders who can make themselves the clear-cut choice for Inoue to fight, probably even in the States. So.
Has Inoue talked about moving up to 126?
He says that'll be his final stop. And he does plan to be undisputed.
But did he say when? I'm sorry. No. I should have.
Well, actually, I think the word is he is going to go up to 26 to fight Nick Ball. I think he's supposed to fight Akhmadaliev, then Nick Ball, then drop back down for the big one against Nakatani.
What about Bam?
The Bam is still, at 15.
Bam is at 15.
So he's got to come up.
Start?
Yeah. I don't think they'll ever fight.
You don't?
I don't.
No.
Damn. What about, I see you guys talking about Angelo fighting people. What about Shushu? I mean, he got an opportunity.
He's in the mix. It sounds like he's going to be fighting. It sounds like Fulton's going to be moving up to fight Oshaki for the 130-pound title. Okay. And that frees up the WBC for Shushu to fight Carlos Castro.
Okay.
It's a great fight.
It's actually a good fight.
When is this talking about? Early fall?
I don't know. I think in the next 5-6 weeks it'll all get sorted out. We'll get something official one way or the other about Fulton and Foster. And then the minute that domino has to fall, so then you find out what Bruce is doing next. But Bruce is number one with the WBC, whether it's Fulton, whether it's a vacant title against Castro, he's getting his shot probably next. If not next, the next fight after that.
I would love for him to get going now with the top guys to be prepared for when the boogeyman comes.
Inoue.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just don't want you to get up in there too early. Kind of like Caleb Plant type deals like that. I want you to get some experience behind you.
Maybe two bigger fights.
Yeah, I want some fight. Yeah, I'm good with 3 or 4, but I don't know if you're gonna be able to pull that off.
Who's gonna step up and unify to show they're the clear-cut guy that Inoue needs to see? Who's gonna step? Because you could play the game of Nat. Let's hold on to this belt. We already know he said he wants to be undisputed, so as long as we hold on to this belt, we're gonna get the payday.
Boxing.
You could do that, or you could be bold and say let's make a unification because they're all 50-50 fights in that weight class.
I agree.
Yeah.
126 about to get lit.
Yeah, real boxing nerd shit. I love it.
I'm trying to figure it out because I'm I went from Devin Alexander to Paulie Malignaggi to Kell Brook, and then it was I had big fight but to the point of what you said, you wanted to see him get in the ring with a couple of big names before he gets to the boogeyman. So I'm like, okay, well, Keith Thurman was the boogeyman at one point, and I had Alexander, I had Malignaggi, but I'm sitting there trying to think what was going on with the business that afforded me the ability to do that. Whereas now you're talking about, who's going to unify? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? Just get the fucking ring.
But I don't know. It's just I never questioned if you was ready for those matches. I do question if Shushu was ready for that fight. At that time, did you question if Sean was ready?
Oh, for what? For a Keith?
Thurman, yeah.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, Sean had a ridiculous amateur background, and then he had went 12 here, he'd went 10 here, so he was ready.
So do we need more of that from Shushu?
I think the Castro fight.
Feel like
Castro fight's gonna help a lot, and then he needs one more after that.
When Keyshawn Davis sit right there, and I say, "You sure you ready? How do you know you ready?" And all that kind of. this is the kind of conversation that I was trying to have, or what I was trying to present to him. Like, you don't know this yet, young man, but I know, in hindsight's 2020, but you don't know until you actually go through the experience whether or not you're actually ready for it. It's just how life is. You can be as confident as you want to be and all that kind of stuff, but it ain't until the bell ring and things start to play out do you actually find out whether or not you're ready for it. After the fact is when you know, like, okay, I was ready for that, I wasn't ready for this, I gotta grow here, so on and so forth, you know what I mean? So my fight I had with Keith, I was like, I knew I was ready for Keith, but after the fight, I was like, that was a badass fight. But I did that wrong. There was one thing I knew I did wrong in that fight. I just go too much. Yeah. And I had to look back at that and learn from it. I was ready, but I became even more ready after the fight.
And I think you guys probably both co-sign. Just because you got a belt don't determine how good you are. I think Caleb Plant now is better than Caleb Plant with the IBF. Caleb Plant went through the wars.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and I think the same thing with Shawn. Yeah. Just when you're a better fighter, and I just think some guys trying to talk their way into moments that they're not ready for. I think that's what you're trying to just keep talking over it. Trying to tell Keyshawn that you need a little bit more experience, bro. You getting there, we see it, but a little more experience, you'll be ready for that moment.
Yeah.
Because who was he talking about? That Tank at the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
that's just a different animal. It's a different beast. And for anybody that Lamont this and that, well, that was that fight. And that was that style of fight. And it was those two guys, what we already said before, they're from the same neighborhood, blase. Everybody, and Keyshawn do look lights out, but it don't mean he gonna be lights out against Tank because the one thing you cannot, what they say, Father Time is undefeated, right? Yeah. Well, you look at the time that Tank has been a professional, and you look at the time that Keyshawn has been a professional, and it weighs like this. You know what I mean? So it's just, something to consider. But again, when you're talking about Shushu, I think you're right. I like to see him get one or two big fights. I think start with Castro is perfect.
Yeah, I just think, man, his gear up.
And salute to Carlos, too, because he ain't no punk.
No, he dropped Fulton, and that was a really close fight with Fulton. Yeah. And he's got experience under his belt now, but he's not long in the tooth. Yeah. He's still a fresh, young, strong fighter. Yeah. But now he's seasoned. So that's going to be a difficult fight, potentially, for Shushu. He might make it not difficult, but on paper, it should be his toughest test. I'll just say this, for my fellow boxing nerds, like, get excited for 126 because Inoue fighting any of these guys is magic in the ring. Angelo and Inoue is, I think it's got a little bit of Pacquiao Marquez in it, where Angelo's counterpunching would have to kind of be his defense, and it would just be a great fight. It would just be a great fight. Those two styles, Espinoza, Shushu, Nick Ball. I mean, think of the styles we're talking about here. Yeah. All those guys like to go.
And all those guys going up against one another. Yeah. Opposed to waiting to find out if I'm in.
Sharpen each other on the way up. And your way coming.
And even sharpen boxing. Because they're great fights at 126. You get the power, you get the, you may not get the brutal KOs, but you get guys,
These guys can hit. Carrington's got some brutal KOs. Inoue's got some brutal KOs. Yeah. Leo had the KO of the year against Venado. So Espinoza's hitting. Nick Ball's hitting. I'm excited.